Okay, so first I'm going to go over the past couple of days of Tanya, and then I'll move on to today's Tanya. Today is Chaf Gimel Tevet. So we learn that anyone can become a Benoni. It requires a lot of work. It's not easy, but it can be done. Um, so we need to internalize the reality that there is no hardship that we can't overcome by recognizing that even the lowest neshamas out there, the worst Jews, the lowest of the lowest, they have the capability of giving their lives over for the sake of Hashem. So how come we see people doing Averas left and right? So that is because of two reasons. One is because they think, they are under the impression that even if I do this Avera, I am still one with Hashem. I am still a good Jew. Okay, I did an Avera. It doesn't make me a bad Jew. If we really understood that when I do an Avera, it disconnects me from Hashem, if we really internalize that, not just thinking it, it needs to be something that we feel. We need to internalize it. Internalizing something we learned in Perek Gimel requires two things. One is strong contemplation, thinking very strongly about how this disconnects me from Hashem. And consistency. It needs to be done on a constant basis in order for it to become a part of you. So by us doing this contemplation, where we contemplate on the fact that even the lowest of the Jews are willing to give their lives over in Kiddush Hashem, surely me, I can also give my lives over on Kiddush Hashem. And the fact that others don't is, like we said before, is one reason that we mentioned was because they think that they're still one with Hashem with the Avera they do, and two is because they forget about how much they love Hashem at the time when they're doing the Avera. So that is what we learn about the Benoni, how everyone could become a Benoni. However, to actually become a tzaddik, which means to be appalled by going against the will of Hashem, by being appalled by doing bad things. There are many things that we can. There's more severe stuff, killing, stealing for some people it could be to break Shabbos or not to eat on Yom Kippur. These things for us are clear that we will do. But then there's the small stuff. Speaking lashon hara, I don't find him the problem to speak lashon hara about someone. He doesn't know about it, doesn't hear about it, whatever it may be. There are many halachas that we might feel that I don't see what's wrong with it, right? So a true tzaddik can't fathom the idea of doing an avera. We can't fathom the idea. We will overpower. We have the strength to overcome that tendency that we have, but we can have these thoughts. So to reach a level where we won't be able to fathom these ideas of doing any sort of avera, that is a level that we cannot reach. Not readily. Not. We'll learn. We'll learn about that more in a minute or two. So now we understand what it says in the beginning of the Tanya. We learn that a baby, before he comes to this world, he's sworn. He swears that I will be a tzaddik and I will not be a rasha. Why are we making a double oath like that? Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. If I'm going to be a tzaddik, then obviously I won't be a rasha. And if I won't be a rasha, then I'll be a tzaddik. Well, based on what we learned until now, we learned about the Benoni, so it's clear that there is an in-between. So the oath that we're really making is not to be a rasha, and to be a Benoni, which is something that we can all achieve. So the real question is, what's this oath that we're making to be a tzaddik? I could try to be a tzaddik my whole entire life, and I'll never achieve to become a tzaddik. So the Tanya tells us that we need to set aside a time to be like a tzaddik. In other words, I will contemplate on how appalling these desires that I have are, these wills that I have, all these things that I have that I'm drawn to doing that are against the will of Hashem. I will now contemplate on how much that is disgusting, how much I hate it. And for that moment, I'm being like a tzaddik. And I'm doing it in order to achieve the level of a tzaddik. Whether I'll achieve it or not is another question. But when I'm making the oath that I will be a tzaddik, what I'm saying is that I will do the work of a tzaddik by putting myself in a state where I can't fathom anything that's against the will of Hashem. And also to contemplate on how Hashem is filling the whole entire world, and how I draw pleasure from Hashem's presence. To contemplate on that too, and how wonderful it is. It's in your imagination, all these things. They're not really a part of it. We don't become actual tzaddikim at these times when we contemplate on these two meditations. Being appalled by evil and loving and drawing pleasure from the good. However, it does have an impact on us. If we contemplate on these things daily, consistently, and with like a strong meditation, we're really getting into it deeply, not just like a passing thought, like a real strong thought, then they will have an impact on us, they will affect us, and we will connect to them, and we will over time feel a little bit of the effect. They will really connect to it over time, and we'll feel that, yeah, I don't like this, I don't want to do this. Let's say someone who's addicted to something. So if he contemplates on how much he hates what he's addicted to, over time it'll become a part of him, and he'll feel more disconnected from it, and it'll help him to be able to overcome the addiction. And he'll be drawn to godliness, he'll be drawn to doing the will of Hashem. This is a very strong meditation that we can do, and it's also very helpful. And on top of that, you might have the schus that Hashem will give you what's called the ruach of a tzaddik, and it will actually be elevated up to a level of a tzaddik. But there's no guarantee for that. But there are people who are zorche by doing these meditations that they achieve the level of becoming a tzaddik. But we can't depend on that. We can't do it depending on that, because it might never happen. But it's a possibility. You never know. Now, today's Tanya, we learn about the two different types of benonim. It says in the pasuk, "Uraiti ben tzadik lerasha, uben ovdei Hashem velo avado." Ben oved Hashem velo avado. So there's tzaddik. I saw the difference between someone who's a tzaddik and someone who's a rasha, someone who serves Hashem and someone who does not serve Hashem. So we need to understand, is a tzaddik not someone who serves Hashem? Like when the pasuk's repeating itself twice with just different words, tzaddik and not serving and servant of Hashem. So someone who serves Hashem, it sounds like the same thing. It sounds redundant. And someone who was a rasha, I would say, is someone who does not serve Hashem. That also seems to be redundant. So the Tanya explains that we have a tzaddik and we have a rasha, and then we have two different types of benonim. One benoni is called an oved Hashem, someone who serves Hashem. There's Eved Hashem, that's a tzaddik. Oved Hashem is a benoni. Eved Hashem, Eved is like a title. He received the title of someone who was a servant of Hashem, because he has already overcome his Yetzer Hara. His Yetzer Hara has no effect on him whatsoever. So he received the title of someone who was a servant of Hashem. Oved Hashem, Oved is like active, like now he's doing it. He has to work to actually serve Hashem. It doesn't come natural to him. It's like the word lochem. He's fighting. He's actively fighting to serve Hashem. So he hasn't actually overcome the Yetzer Hara. So that's an Oved Hashem. Then you have a Lo Avado. Lo Avado is someone who does not fight to serve Hashem. On one hand. On the other hand, he's not a tzaddik. What does that mean? So there are some people that in their nature, they just have a cold nature. They're like cold-hearted. They're not really drawn to desires. That's how they're born. That's how they're created. And they just have a very low tendency of doing averot. Naturally, they'll just go out of their way to daven and learn Torah. There are people out there that it comes easy to them to serve Hashem. It doesn't mean that they're tzaddikim, because they still have evil inside of them, but their tendencies to do averot are very low, so they don't have to work and be able to serve Hashem. So that is the second level of a benoni. What we need to achieve as a benoni is to reach the level of an oved Hashem. So I think we could all learn from these different types of benonims for ourselves. So there are things that we do naturally. I go to shul, I daven. I have my daily classes that I learn, and I do the people that they get into a habit. They get into a, what do you call it? They get into a habit of doing what they do to serve Hashem. Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur, Chag is Chag. Everything comes naturally to them. So things that you're doing naturally to them, you're under the category of lo avado. You're not serving Hashem. What you need to do in order to, how does someone go from an oived Hashem, from a lo avado, someone who's not serving Hashem, to avado? So that requires contemplating on the greatness of Hashem, arousing love and fear to Hashem, and that will give you the strength to actually be able to do more than what you're used to doing. It could be in quality, it could be in quantity. It doesn't really make a difference either way. So if you're gonna be someone who keeps Shabbos out of habit, so you're called lo avado. But if you're contemplating the greatness of Hashem, I feel like you're connecting to Hashem by keeping Shabbos. So now you're bringing it to a higher level. Now, first of all, Shabbos is going to be of a higher quality and also quantity. Like you could probably, like there could be things on Shabbos that you'll do more of. You'll dive in more. You'll learn more. You'll have on Shabbos with more kavana. You'll do things better and more with better quality, better quantity. And this way you're actually becoming an oived Hashem, someone who serves Hashem, not a servant, which is a tzaddik, but someone who serves Hashem. And not someone who just keeps Torah and mitzvahs because that's what he's accustomed to out of habit. We should strive not to be the lower level of the Benoni, rather than to be the higher level of the Benoni. And with the, if Hashem, if we have the schus, we should all elevate the levels of a tzaddik. This might be the reason the Rebbe says that today, even though it says in Tanya that not everyone is zeicha to become a tzaddik, the Rebbe says that today everyone can become a tzaddik. So that might be what the Rebbe means, that today if you do the work of the Tanya, you can become a tzaddik. That's what the Rebbe says. So we should all be zeicha to become tzaddikim, and with that, all the evil will be removed from the world. Or be zeicha to Mashiach tzedkeinu techef umiyad.